Our next guest is comedian and journalist Kamau Bell. He's the writer and director of a new 4-part Showtime documentary series that examines the legacy and life of Bill Cosby, once known, of course, as America's dad. The series, We Need to Talk About Cosby, delves into a painful and complex conversation about Cosby with comedians, accusers, educators, and journalists. At its heart, the documentary begs the question, can we separate the art of an acclaimed and trailblazing black entertainer from the man who's been accused of sexual assault by more than 60 women? Cosby, as you may remember, was convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting former Temple University employee Andrea Constand back in 2004. He served 3 years in prison before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court then overturned his conviction last June because a prosecutor had made an agreement with Cosby not to prosecute him if he sat down for a deposition. Cosby is now a free man and insists that he is innocent of the allegations. And we are joined now by Kamau Bell to discuss his docuseries. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you started your series with the question that I'd now like to pose to you. Who do you believe Bill Cosby is now?
Bill Cosby, well, if we were to learn the lessons that Bill Cosby taught me when I was a kid, to be a good and moral person, to be smart, to educate yourself, and to support your community and use your privilege to make the world better, then he is a man who wants me to make this documentary, whether or not he knows it or not.
All right, well, we need to talk about Cosby. He seeks to understand both sides of a difficult conversation. Cosby once inspired and paved the way for so many black Americans on and off screen, and he was a former hero of yours, as you just mentioned. But of course, these accusations that he drugged and raped women go back decades to his early career. Why did you feel like you were the right person to get to the root of this Cosby discussion?
I don't know that I felt I was the right person. I think I was just the person who was doing it at the time, and other people said they felt like I was the right person. I was having these conversations and thinking about this because as a person who was a black man who was born in the early 70s, I grew up in the Bill Cosby era. I was born into the era when Bill Cosby was a hero, and he was all over kids' TV teaching me and telling me he loved me and telling me to be a good person. And so I think there's a lot of people who could have made it, but it's not a superhero movie, so a lot of people didn't want to touch it.
And why do you think that the conversation itself is especially traumatizing for black Americans?
Because we are still, as black Americans, underrepresented in media, and we're underrepresented in people who the public tells us are heroes or the public lets us claim as heroes. So it feels hard to feel like you have to lose somebody, and especially the level of hero Bill Cosby has been achieved by very few humans in the history of the planet. So he seems like such a key figure, and he is a key figure for the history of black America, especially in the 20th century.
Do you feel that shows like The Cosby Show or Fat Albert or Cosby should still be on air at this point?
I mean, the content doesn't go away. You can still find all of Bill Cosby's work on the internet somewhere. You can buy it if you want to. If you do buy it, some of those proceeds will go to all the hardworking people who worked on it, many of whom had no idea what was going on. We should all be engaged in creating a safer world for survivors of sexual assault and rape, no matter what you're watching. And that's the thing the doc ultimately wants us to do, is engage in creating a world that is more supportive, more healing, and helps survivors of sexual assault and rape find justice in a way that the world does not generally do right now.
And what do you hope that viewers will come away with from the documentary about the type of asterisks next to Cosby's name in the history books?
I think the most important conversation that the doc encourages is the one that we all have after we watch the doc. The conversation you have with people in your community who may have different feelings from you, the conversation that black folks have with ourselves.
And I'm curious because in talking with some colleagues before talking with you today, the question came up, why is the focus most singularly always about Cosby when it comes to being this complex figure? Because, of course, you have people like the former president who has people who have accused him, multiple people who have accused him of various forms of sexual assault or harassment. But we then don't see these tiered, layered docuseries about former President Trump, for example.
I mean, on one hand, the comedian in me wants to say, because I don't think President Trump is that layered. That would be the first response, I would say. But I also say, people often say, why are you talking about Cosby and not talking about these people? But I think the issue with Cosby is None of those people were anybody's childhood hero. So there's just a different level here than there is with all these other people we've mentioned.
Why was it personally important to you to tell this story?
Because if we don't tell the complete story, we're going to lose some key parts of American history and key parts of Black history. It's not a good time to stop chopping off pieces of our history. We just have to talk about it in a more holistic way so that it's not just one version of the story, that it is the most inclusive and accurate version of the story. And we have to reckon with it.
Mr. Kamau Bell, we thank you so much for joining us, and you can watch the premiere of We Need to Talk About Cosby on Showtime this Sunday. And we also want to note that Bill Cosby's publicist, Andrew Wyatt, has released a statement in response to the Showtime documentary series, writing in part, "Let's talk about Bill Cosby. Mr. Cosby has spent more than 50 years standing with the excluded, made it possible for some to be included, standing with the disenfranchised, and standing with those women and men who were denied respectful work because of race and gender within the expanses of the entertainment industries." Cosby also says that he has been unfairly targeted by the media and that the allegations against him have never been proven in a court of law.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.